I was 15 when our parents died. My brother, Marco, was only 9. That night, standing beside their coffins, I made a promise. I'll take care of him. No matter what. Since then, my life stopped being mine. I worked during the day at a small diner, and at night I cleaned offices just to keep us fed. Every aching bone, every sleepless night, I told myself it was worth it. Because one day, Marco would have the life we both dreamed of. Years passed. I bought a small house. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. I made sure he went to college, bought him the books he needed, even skipped meals just to afford his tuition. He was my world. My purpose, but as he grew, something changed. Marco started treating me differently. He never lifted a finger around the house. When I'd come home exhausted, he'd just sit there scrolling on his phone. "Marco, can you at least wash the dishes?" I'd ask softly. He'd roll his eyes. "You're too controlling, Ivy. You act like my mom." It stung, but I stayed quiet. Because I promised. Then came his graduation day. I was so proud. Tears filled my eyes as they called his name. I thought, maybe he'd finally thank me. But instead, he pulled his girlfriend onto the stage and handed her the diploma, smiling as if she had done everything. I sat there in the crowd, clapping with trembling hands, my heart breaking quietly. Still, I let it slide. Because love means patience, right? When he got a job, I hoped things would get better. But he refused to help with bills, saying, "You're the responsible one, Ivy. You've always managed." He bought a car, on loan, but had me pay the monthly dues. I didn't complain, because I thought, maybe this time he'll see my worth. Then he decided to get married. He looked so excited when he told me, "Ivy, I want you to help me set it up. I trust you more than anyone." My heart swelled with hope. I booked their wedding car, reserved the reception venue, and even secured a presidential suite at a 5-star hotel for their honeymoon. I spent my savings without hesitation, believing maybe this was his way of showing he still cared. But a few weeks later, he came home with a tone I'd never heard before. "Ivy," he said, not meeting my eyes, "my fiancé doesn't feel comfortable with you at the wedding. She thinks you'll make things?" Awkward, I blinked. "What do you mean?" "Please don't come to the wedding." "My fiancé doesn't like you," he sighed. "She also wants us to live in this house after the wedding. Her parents will stay with us for a while. You can just rent somewhere small." The world went silent. My heart pounded in disbelief. I had paid for his education, this house, his car, even his wedding. And now, he wanted me gone? That was the moment something inside me shattered. That night, I sat in the dark living room, surrounded by the walls I built from nothing but exhaustion and love. Every memory played in my head. The nights I skipped dinner so he could eat. The mornings I worked 2 shifts to pay his tuition. The day I bought this home with trembling hands, and now he was throwing me out. My hands shook as I reached for the drawer where I kept every receipt, every loan paper, every proof that everything was under my name. So, I made my decision. I sold the house. Quietly, canceled the car payments. I canceled the wedding car, the hotel, the reception, everything. Then I packed my things, left the keys, and disappeared. On the day of the wedding, everything fell apart. The luxury car they were supposed to ride never arrived. The bride, in her long white gown, had to climb into her father's rusty old truck. Her dress got stained, her makeup melted in the heat. When they reached the reception, the staff said, "I'm sorry, there's no booking under that name." Guests murmured in confusion, their smiles fading, and when they checked in for their honeymoon, the hotel staff shook their heads, canceled. Marco tried calling me, again and again, but I didn't answer. Days later, they went back to what used to be our home, but instead of a familiar door, they found a large sold sign. The new owner's name printed clearly. They stood there in disbelief, as neighbors whispered behind curtains. That night, I sent him one final message. "You took everything I gave and made me feel invisible. Now you'll understand what it's like to live without someone who kept you alive." Then I turned off my phone and left for another state, with every cent I rightfully earned. Months passed. I found peace, a small apartment, a quiet job, a life that finally belonged to me. Meanwhile, Marco's world collapsed. His wife left. His in-laws stayed. He worked 2 jobs just to keep the lights on. He finally understood how heavy the burden had been, the burden I carried for years. Sometimes I still think of him. But then I remember that girl at the funeral years ago, promising to protect her brother at all costs. I kept my promise to our parents. I raised him. But I never promised to let him destroy me. Now, I've finally learned to protect myself.